I'm Nick from Bridge City Sessions. I've got Doug, and I've got the band Speed Control from Yukon, Canada. How's it going, guys? And go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Great.
I'm Graham. Peters is my last name, and I play guitar and dance moves and sing.
And drums.
And drums. And
My name's Eric, and I play guitar and play drums and sing.
My name's Jody. I'm the principal drummer in the band. Actually not. I play bass and I sing.
My name's Greg McLaughlin. I play hurdy-gurdy, accordion, and the mountain dulcimer. That's my main instrument.
Mouth harp.
Mouth harp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And lead shred.
Yeah.
Oh, and the jingle bells you put on your toes.
I have them on right now. That's it's a mistake.
So how you guys been? It's been a long time. I can't even remember the last time I seen you guys.
yeah, we've been good. Like, I was just telling the story about how we first met when our brakes failed as we were driving into Portland, and a bunch of my friends were just like, how did you drive just using an e-brake at 60 miles an hour? And I'm like, because I'm a trucker. But we're good. I'm good. The Yukon doesn't have any COVID, so we're still locked down. We can't do anything. Can't play shows and stuff. But we've renovated our garage into a full studio now, so we're starting to record our next album, which is freaking awesome. And I think we're all in good spirits.
Yeah, a bit of that lockdown anxiety, just like not knowing what to do with yourself sometimes. But that's starting to open up. People are starting to get back to it.
Pretty grateful though that like because it didn't really impact us too much. Like the lockdown period was, I mean, we're still technically in a lockdown, but it's pretty relaxed. People have their bubbles, you have your social circles that you can interact with.
We're keeping one caribou apart.
Yeah, one caribou apart. Yeah.
Yeah.
How are your guys' families dealing with all this? Are you guys still going to work and everything kind of working the same that way? Or
I'm still like I'm an EA at a school, but I do my job from home. So basically what I do is I get on a Zoom call with whatever kid and we actually just talk about video games for like an hour, and then we high five, and then that's that. Basically just making sure everyone's all right. But family's good, kids are good, things are mostly all right up here.
so it's not taking too much of a toll on you guys.
No.
You're just kind of
No, if anything, some of the positive things have been that we all had a lot of time to get together, and we're trying to finish our new album. So we've just been writing, jamming 2-3 times a week. We're going to start tracking out some demos this weekend.
Yeah.
And we actually have time to rehearse. Like, we're not living in a van for 8 months out of the year. So that makes a huge difference.
yeah.
That's awesome. I can't wait to see you guys now that you've tightened up and played that much recently.
Oh, dude, it's nuts. Like,
Yeah.
writing songs with the C chord in them and the G chord. Once in a while, we go to F.
Dude. Oh my.
Yeah. That's the hardest one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about you got 2 new members. Last time we saw you were a 3-piece, and you got a new drummer and 2 new members.
Yeah. So when our other drummer, Ian, he got engaged, and which is wonderful, and he's moved to Winnipeg, which is basically dead center of Canada, and it's hard to be a band when your drummer is in a different part of the country. And so we went to an open mic, and there's this new skinny guy that is just as tall as Ian, but when he turns sideways, he disappears because he's so skinny. And
and he was singing, what was it, Rawhide? And what was the theme song?
Rawhide was the theme
The
song.
theme song.
And then Bonanza.
Oh, yeah, Bonanza. Theme song, Bonanza.
and some Shania Twain. And then he got up on some drums and played some Creed. And I was like, this guy can do it all. He can do Shania Twain and Creed. And so we we kind of
We started cover band.
yeah, we started a cover band just to test him out. It was Jody and I's plot to see like how good is this guy, and he like got real good and really good. And then we called Greg, he's our investment banker as well as our sex appeal now. And so we just learned about 10 covers, anything from Iron Maiden to Joe Walsh, and started jamming. And then
Yeah, so the 4-piece was kind of born out of the cover band.
Yeah.
Just blending
The
together
cover
there.
band is called Pretty Exciting, which is possibly the greatest cover band name ever.
and then one rehearsal, Greg just said, "Hey, I totally learned all of your Speed Control songs last week." And I was like, "No, you didn't." He was like, "Yeah, I did." And so then we started rehearsing the old Speed Control songs, and then all of a sudden it was like, holy cow, holy shit. And it started getting better, started writing some new material, and then we recently went out to Montreal and did some recording out there with a producer who's based out of Greenland.
He's in Belgium now.
He's in Belgium now, but just a way bigger rock sound. And the songs are more technically challenging. I actually have to use my pinky finger sometimes, which is not something I'm very good at, but it has blossomed into something that's pretty badass, if I do say so myself.
It's a little more rock, a little more with a touch of metal from Greg, and then just I play a lot.
Nah, it's awesome. It's a whole new energy, right? So
Rock Bobby.
I was trying to describe our new sound, and it's like Motorhead meets The Refused meets Jimmy Eat World meets AC/DC meets Iron Maiden
meets Danko Jones,
and then a little bit of pop.
Wow, that's quite the combination.
Pretty awesome.
Lots of influences, but yeah, it's good. We met Greg actually at a show, and Graham, he was the only guy in the audience wearing a suit. Like everyone else is like plaid redneck, and then there's Greg who came from work at the bank in a suit. And Graham just called him out all night, the whole show. Just, suit guy this, suit guy that. And then, the next...
I'm like, it's on like a Friday night, and I worked late, and I just go to this pub to like wind down after work, like for a beer.
You got heckled.
I'm getting fucking heckled the entire time. And, but I loved it. I have pretty thick skin, so I was like, I gotta meet these guys.
Half-inch thick, right?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, yeah. So now we're just rocking.
So what's the songwriting process been like for the new record? Is it just a collaboration of all of you now, or?
Yeah, it used to be like mostly just me coming up with stuff and then kind of arranging it on the fly. But now it's very much split between all four of us. We come in with an idea and blossom. It's a whole different way of jamming, right? Coming up with parts and shit like that right there. And
you bring a riff, and then in like 30 minutes later, you've got your rough outline of your song, and then by next rehearsal, it's hammered down and ready to go.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
so like break the pitching idea into a little bit more detail too. I find, like, to describe the writing process. Sometimes I would call it more like lucky if we're all like really on the same page one day to make a riff pitch into a full song within like an hour or two. I find we're a little more quick if we pitch full progressions, but
yeah,
that's how we write. We either pitch riffs or progressions.
And then we add as much Iron Maiden guitarmony as possible. Actually.
Did you say guitarmony?
Yes, I did.
Oh my gosh, I've never heard this, but I like it.
Oh, it's the greatest thing ever.
Go ahead, Doug. No, you go ahead.
Are you guys? No, after yeah. No, are you guys? Are you still doing the school thing too?
Yeah, not right now.
Well, yeah.
We are actually supposed to do something in the middle of Alberta in Canada, and we had about 35, 36 shows just vanish, and so we're looking really at like fall 2021 when that'll start up again. February next year, maybe, probably not.
Yeah.
Just because schools can't have more than 50 people in one room together when everything is back to normal. So,
like we're still focusing on that. We just got signed to a big company out in Ontario that runs every school out there. And there's more schools in Ontario than all of Canada put together pretty much. And so that's pretty sweet because if you can basically base yourself in Toronto and just do schools during the day and then like rip out to Montreal or even down to New York or whatever like that. And so that's kind of what the plan was, but we've basically lost all of our touring for at least the next year, if not 18 months, if not more, right? And so it's actually giving us quite a good opportunity to focus on the original stuff a little more because I think Speed Control has a good story behind it. It's really awesome doing the education stuff, but I also think we write some pretty badass songs. And so now it's good for us because we can put more of the emphasis there.
Yeah.
And that makes me happy.
Awesome. You want to talk about like what the school job was? Like, did you guys just go around?
Yeah.
And do a
First Speed Control tour, summer 2010. Graham just called random places and asked if we could play. And when they said yes, we went. And when they said no, we still showed up and played there. But we lived in the van pretty much and slept on people's floors and lost about $3,000. And then drove home and said we never want to do that again.
Yeah, so what our school stuff is like we have like 3 things we offer. We do like a history of rock and roll show. That's like a 50-minute presentation. Then we also do another one where we go into the school for the whole day and we actually like we perform for the kids and then we write a rock anthem for their school. So like they're like our school's freaking awesome, that kind of thing. And then we also teach like kind of like Jack Black's School of Rock, but like in real life. And so we can do like weekends or weeks here and there. And we try and, if we're doing that, we usually try and pair it with a festival. So we'll go in the week before the festival and teach a bunch of kids how to play rock and roll. Then those kids play at the festival in front of like 1,000 people and they're like, oh my God. And all the parents and moms buy our merch, which is great. and then we get to play our own stuff, right? Yeah. So it's just a way of us being able to make a bit of money while touring because it's nice to come home with money.
It's also a way, like Graham and I are both teachers, so it's a nice way to pass on what we know to kids. It's like there's kids that we taught back in 2010 when we started doing the education stuff that are now in rock bands or they're engineers or they're like running music stores. And it's pretty cool to see that effect. And they're like, oh man, I got my start on bass for guitar at this rock camp. And I'm like, holy cow, dude. I'm old now because like you're like 25. And yeah, I don't know. It's cool. It's a nice way to give back and to pass on what we know.
It'd be exciting at times spending 8-hour days for a week straight with kids you've never met before. Like I remember last time we were out, we just bought like a new $50 white drum skin with the mic hole in it for the bass drum, and I tuned it up and set it up, and we're about to sit down and start talking to these kids and look back, and one kid's just booting the front of the kick drum with his boot, scuffing it all up. Oh, I dropped the French toast.
Oh, God. No. We made you guys some French toast.
What?
It's floor toast now.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And we got some honey, if you want some honey. And then we have our kayak in the back.
On the oven.
On the oven. Just to show you guys how like,
rock and roll we live up here. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't mean to like divert too much from like the music thing. I just thought that was so cool when I met you guys that you like did that and then rocked bars at night. You know, I thought that was
yeah. I'd say it's a way to have a day job because like Monday to Thursday during the day you've got nothing to do and you're not going to play shows that have any impact really. Unless you're like with the right band at the right time.
Yeah, unless you're playing in like Phantom Racer or Head Honcho, like there's not really any money to be made, right? No. Playing on a Monday night.
So how do you guys get into something like that? Like you don't just walk into a school and say, hey, I want to play music for your school. I mean, the
first time we got into schools, I just lied. I called them and I was like, hey, I have this history of rock show that we do. It goes from the 1940s to the 2000s, and we get to teach how rock and roll was kind of born and formed into what we see today.
It also, side note, it also helped that both Graham and I had been teaching in schools for multiple years prior to that.
Yeah, and so I called about like 50 schools, and 4 of them said yes, and I was like, done. So we did those 4, and we did such a good job that they kind of talked to other people. And so then the next time we did it, we had like 30, and then the next time we did it, we got this one contract to do every single school in Kelowna, which is a city of about 200,000 people. And so we did 27 shows in like
2 weeks.
Yeah, just about 9 or 10 days. And then every single child in Kelowna knew who we were. And then because we got that contract, then there's booking agencies that specifically work in the education field. And so they signed, like we basically signed with one of those, and then he does all the booking and all the routing and all the touring, and he just takes 15% off the cut, right? And I'm like, that's pretty sweet, because if you do 2 or 3 school shows a day, you're making $2,000 or $3,000 as the band, right? So then you can just be like, all right, let's roll it. And so we've now
2017, 2018 school year, we did 193 schools.
Wow.
Which was insane. Like, I don't think we'll ever do that many again, but it was kind of cool to know that we can crank that out if we need to.
Yeah, and then we'd play festivals and bars on the weekend. So we'd play a typical week, we'd play 15 or 16 shows. That's a lot of shows. Whether it's in front of kids or whether it's like, it's just a lot of loading in and loading out. You really get used, like, we can set up, sound check in 15 minutes.
This is the funny thing about being in a band. Like, a lot of people talk about, you practice your instrument, you write songs, you record, whatever. Like, most of it is lifting shit. Like, you're mostly just like putting something up, like picking something up and putting it down somewhere else. So that's like 90% of it.
Yeah.
But have you guys like hit the road with this like incantation with this group of Speed Control yet, or have you just played?
We went and played the Big Winter Classic again in January with this incarnation of the band, and it was good. It was really good. Like it was a blast. And out in Montreal, we hit the road, but just for recording purposes.
We played, like, basically this is coming up on like the 1-year anniversary of us being a 4-piece, but we've only played probably 10 to 15 shows as a 4-piece, but that's all right. Like, Greg's got a real job and Eric's got a real job, so when we were able to tour the school stuff, we'd still just do a 3-piece, me and Eric and Jody, and then if we had like a bigger show, then Greg would hop on a plane and meet us down there, right? So,
and we'll bring in the ringer for the important stuff.
Do you think the sound is like a lot more filled out now that you have the extra members?
Yeah.
Well, vocally, we're all singing, so we have 4 people singing, and then we have 2 guitars now. So it actually frees me up to be more of a front man. Like, some songs I don't even have to play, which is kind of awesome. I get to run around and be Axl Rose, but
not Axl Rose, David Lee Roth.
More David Lee Roth, yeah.
More David Lee Roth. My signature move is to strip and then get dressed in the same song.
I've seen it.
Like, me playing drums and guitar, people ask me quite often, like, oh, what do you have more fun playing? And I say drums only if I'm like playing with a group of people that are also killing it. I hit hard and I try to be as tight as I can. And when I'm jamming with guys that are right on that page, it's a lot of fun. And so like having Greg in talking about like tightening up that sound or filling it out, there's nothing more fun than when you hit that like raunchy solo section. Like Graham's just still chugging away. The bass is so heavy. The backbone is just crushing it, but the guitar is peeling. Like it's just perfection. It's a lot of fun. I like that.
Just face melting.
Just feel it.
Eric's just going to do the rest of the interview. So.
Yeah.
Man, I can't wait to hear the new lineup. So you guys, you turned your studio into
we turned our garage into a studio. Like it was a garage, but it was like no treatment on any of the walls, just like wood and metal. And but now we just hung some moving blankets. Eric and Graham built some walls filled with foam, and we're movable walls so we can get the sounds we need for recording.
Put some carpet down.
Yeah.
Yeah, now it's like a living room now. And so like yesterday is a prime example of when you make your jam space awesome, people don't leave. So I was going over my phone today, and Greg's like, okay, just a quick rehearsal, like 7 to like 8:30. And last night I think everything wound down at almost 11.
Yeah.
And then last Tuesday,
after midnight.
yeah,
starting at 6.
We started at 6, and we made burgers, and then it just kept going. And then Jody brought these beers that were like a liter each.
There's a local like tiny microbrewery in town that Eric actually built the brewery part.
He's a carpenter.
He's a carpenter.
Nice.
But they since all the COVID-19, they just started doing off sales through their brewery, but they only put it in these crowler cans, so it's like a full liter of beer. So like you get a 6-pack of that, and the entire band is just down.
Well, it's all like 8%, 9%
Yeah.
beer too, so like you get a good buzz on it after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the next morning, like I went into the garage, and I have like a can crusher, crushes my can. I crushed like over like 50 cans, and there's only 4 of us in the band, and I'm like, oh,
I don't know what you're talking about, man. Nothing happened.
Joe's car was still at my house. Oh,
Yeah, I took him home in the bed of my truck.
Yeah, that was fun.
Nice. So what kind of gear did you get to fill out the studio? Like what do you use?
We've got a Yamaha TF5 board that we use for just the live sound. Which is pretty sweet. We're still learning how to use it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 32 channel. And then we've just got our like big Yamaha speakers that we use for tour, for like the live shows.
Oh, right.
Then Greg's the main recording engineer. He knows everything about that. What are we using to record?
Yeah, for recording, like you mean the equipment that we're using for the
Yeah.
Yeah, so I use a Universal Audio Apollo system. So I have an 8P and a twin and a satellite. So it gives us 10 channels of inputs, which, like, you know, compared to a bigger studio is pretty rinky-dink, but it's a good sounding system. And you know, lots of those plugins are just fantastic. I've got all the good, like, EQs and compressors and preamps that come with that. And then, yeah, we're going to try and do a pretty minimalist kind of drum setup, like for miking the drums. It's going to be the most challenging part in that space. But I'm confident we'll get some good sounds out of it. We're going to use like a 5-mic, 6-mic setup for the drums.
You just ordered some new mics from Sweden?
Yeah, got some new mics from Sweden that are modified by this guy who used to work for RCA. So it's like these cheap, like aerodynamic mics that the ribbons have been replaced with RCA ribbons. So it's like you get like the sound of like a $5,000 microphone and a $1,000 mic kind of thing. So yeah, using those, and yeah. So I think that you know, we're gonna get some good sounds out of that. I think it's really good for musicians, for artists in general to have some limitations actually, because if we had like an infinite budget and could work in studios across, you know, North America, I'm sure we could create some good sounds. But I think right now, not having that ability to travel, we're going to have to come up with some decisions. And I think being able to make decisions quickly will be conducive to writing some good stuff and good music. So, and being productive. So
your purpose of the studio, you have a couple of purposes. You're recording and kind of rehearsing and writing new stuff, but you guys are also going to do some live streams. Is that?
Yeah, so we're just going to start live streaming like a new song once a month, just because why not? And also we want to start getting stuff out to people. We're going to release our first single off the new album mid-June, but we're going to start previewing that towards the end of May here. And then it's also coming up on the 10th anniversary of our first album. So we're gonna put together basically a 3-screen video. Our original drummer lives in Toronto, so we're gonna get him to record his drum part in his studio, and then Graham and I will do ours here, and then we're gonna piece that together. Kind of like what Goldfinger's doing right now. With
right.
No, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Did you have a question, Doug?
No, I'm good.
Sorry,
I think I'm lagging a little bit.
Oh, okay. So you guys have a June is your 10th anniversary of your first album, the ADD Slides.
The ADD Slides, it's kind of funny because we've progressively been spending more time on each album. So the ADD Slides, Graham and Spencer, our first drummer, got into the studio as I was driving up the highway from university. And then I got home, slept for like 4 hours, and then went right into the studio and learned the songs while we were recording them. So we did the first album in 2 days, mixed, mastered, on the road, and I was burning copies in a MacBook as we drove down the highway to sell at shows. The first album was 2 days. Second album was like 5 days. Third album was like
that was a couple months.
And now we're just gonna actually, spend the proper amount of time on stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys plan on releasing like a playthrough?
Yeah.
With that as well.
Yeah, we're gonna release a song or two with the original lineup, and then we might just learn a bunch of the album as a band if we've got time, and just live stream that. I mean, they're good songs, and then we can add more shred with Greg here.
They're
so
pretty emo though.
Oh, they're so emo.
Yeah.
Like as emo as it can get.
I wasn't going through a very good time when I wrote that album. I'm still not going through a good time, but I'm having fun.
So this is a new thing that we've just started, and we're starting with your interview, and we have a section now where we have some questions from fans.
Oh, yeah.
And so I thought I'd ask you a couple questions. First question is how to manage touring from the north, budget, travel, etc.
Oh man, you basically have to budget that. It's going to be like $3,000 just to get out of the territory and get back, so $1,500 each way. So that kind of sucks. And then that's the one thing that our education side of our band really helps with, because we can kind of tour down the highway as we go, and even if we have like one school a day type thing, that pays for itself, right? Being from the north also gives us an advantage in a way, because there's so many bands out there that are calling for gigs and trying to get on tours, etc. But our story is always like, we come from a place where there's 3 times the moose than people, right? So people are like, oh my God, the Yukon, what the heck? And so already we have that. The fact that we're like a good band, we're good people, that also helps. And then we're also able to diversify where we're making the money type thing, right? So Jody does most of the budgeting. I just kind of am the schmoozer that gets us the gigs, and then I pass it off to Jody, and then we also have like some management people that help out and do that. Yeah. Plus we get grants from the Yukon government because there's like the economic development fund and then tourism, etc. They want to showcase what the Yukon's about, and so we can get upwards of like $5,000 to $10,000 if we like show we have this many dates, this is what we're going to do, and then if the application's successful, then they're like, here's some money, here you go. And you don't have to pay that back, you just get it, right? So that's pretty sweet.
So those grants, though, and the lack of being able to do all this stuff in the schools, I mean, how do you supplement that? Do they still give you something, or? Yeah,
you most of the time you get the grants just based on your performances, right? So
okay,
like if you have an 8 to 10 or like 8 gigs or like whatever how many gigs you have, even if you're not doing education stuff, you can apply for that money, right?
Yeah, so, they'll usually, like if you've got a tour booked, you're gonna get $5,000 from the government because they want you to go out, they want you to be successful, and they're also aware that like, okay, if you're playing like a Wednesday night show in the middle of nowhere in like, I don't know, northern British Columbia, they know you're not going to be making a ton of money. So they want to be able to supplement that income so you actually don't fail.
Yeah, like Well, I say that like if you're playing shows from the Yukon down like in BC or in Alberta, and just doing bar shows, it's like, yeah, like you're gonna need government money to supplement that, because you're not gonna turn a profit just based on whatever cover you're gonna generate or whatever
as you guys well
it's
know.
gonna be. Like, it's just $100 gig, split between 4 people. It's it's not gonna cut it. Yeah.
We got a demo grant from Yukon Media Development as well, so they gave us $2,000 just to demo tracks in the garage, which is fantastic, because I mean that covers the cost of running the garage, so heat, electricity, rent, etc. It covers equipment, it covers like musician fees, it covers everything. So I mean, and that's just so we can demo, not so we have to put out a finished product. Which is pretty
Wow.
simple.
So there's disadvantages of being from the north because it's so far to get everywhere.
Yeah.
There's also huge advantages because we have the community that's actually behind you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, we can learn a lot from that up here.
Yeah, crispy boy.
So my second question, fan question, is it's actually not a question. It's just talk about heavy metal.
Okay, so this question came from our biggest fan. His name is Ethan. He lives in Kelowna, British Columbia, and we played it at his school years ago. And then since then, he's been coming out to every single show in Kelowna, and he heckles us for like an hour straight. Just like, oh, so-and-so played it better. You suck, Graham.
No.
Nobody learn how to play your instrument.
He doesn't heckle you guys. He just heckles me. He's like, play Enter Sandman. And I'm like, Ethan, I can't play the solo, but whatever. I'll play some like blues, like, and so we get like halfway through the solo, and he stands up and like has to go to the washroom because it's so bad. And then he takes me outside. He's like, I really think you need to work on your guitar soloing. And I'm like, what the hell, kid? I gave you a free CD. He's like, you're the best band in the world, but you sure need to practice. So,
but he's awesome. We were supposed to play his 18th birthday. We're gonna have a block party this year, but obviously that didn't happen.
So, but heavy metal, like Jody is he's the Iron Maiden king of the band.
I'm embracing my Maiden for sure.
Greg is the Judas Priest
and Cannibal Corpse.
And
I'm a closet metalhead.
Yeah.
I played in a thrash metal band back in the late 90s, early 2000s, and I just I tend to hide that for my history. But
he's got some good shit on YouTube.
But what's what was good with that is playing this band now, because for years and years and years, like, I just didn't play that kind of music, and then playing with these guys now, it's fun to bust out those chops again, play fast and play heavier kind of stuff. So,
Graham and I were told in 2011 we went down to Nashville.
Tom Jackson.
By this guy named Tom Jackson, who does like live show production with a bunch of he does bigger artists like Taylor Swift and all that, but we managed to support a session with him, and he's like, stay a 3-piece unless you can get a guitar player that can absolutely shred. And so there he is.
Yeah.
Nice. I got to see this guy.
Eric's heavy metal influence is...
I grew up listening to Lamb of God. I had a drum teacher that taught me a lot of Pantera. But I'd say the style that I try to drum like is... I'd say my main influence as a drummer growing up, other than John Bonham, was this band called I Am Committing a Sin. Their drummer was, his name was Kelly. And if you listen to that album, you'll love it, guaranteed. You can probably find it on YouTube.
What's the album called?
I Am Committing a Sin.
I Am Committing a Sin.
Look up that band. I actually can't remember what their album is called. They should have 2 on there. But that style. Have you guys ever listened to Defeater?
I've heard them, but it's like one of those names that just sounds familiar, but I can't put my finger on. They're a heavier band.
Like drums with some cool turnarounds, cool snare placement.
My first experience with heavy metal was a Christian metal band called Petra.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they're so bad. Oh, man. But I was the only rock. All I could listen to was MXPX and Petra. That's the rock and roll. I love MXPX to this day. But Petra is like terrible. The drummer had like a Mickey Mouse signature pearl drum set. And he's like, I love Disney. It's amazing.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I want you to know where I'm truly coming from.
Yeah.
That is the greatest thing ever.
I fucking hated that band.
Eric, what was your previous band you were in?
I played in a band called Thunderhawks in Toronto, and when it split apart, I was playing in a band called Dames, which nobody's ever heard of, but you can still find our music online. If you type in Dames Toronto, a couple bangers that we wrote on there, and then Thunderhawks as well. Our stuff's all over YouTube and on Facebook.
Pretty good stuff.
Yeah, it's good pop punk.
Yeah.
It's a great name, Thunderhawks.
Yeah,
What?
check it out.
Thunderhawks.
It's a great name. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we went on tour with Frankie Muniz from Malcolm in the Middle. He apparently plays in a band called King's Foil, and it's not that great. But they have a lot of Frankie money.
Malcolm is yeah, that Frankie money.
Yeah.
I want that sweet Frankie money.
Oh, gosh. Yes.
So I've got another question. I got two more questions.
More than one fan.
It's all Ethan, man. It's all Ethan.
Okay.
It's just, yeah.
Well, no. I had to tell Miley, my daughter, that we were doing an interview, and she had something that she had to ask you.
Uh-oh.
And so her favorite song is Riverside. Like every time I put that record on, she just like skips to that song. I don't know why, but she just like, she sings every single word to that song, and she wanted to know, is that a real place, and what inspired you to write that?
So yes, it's a real place. Everything that's in the song, you can find in Riverside at one point in time. It's a tiny little store that it's on the corner of where the Yukon River, where Whitehorse begins, basically. So like where the gold rushers of 1898 would come into Whitehorse. It's like basically built on a floodplain, and there's a corner right there when you come around the corner of the cliffs. And right there is this triangular store called Riverside. And it's open, it used to be open 24 hours a day, but now it's only open 19 and a half hours a day. And everything is overpriced. Everything is
like there's everything's organic except for the Coca-Cola.
Yeah, and then like
it's our local hipster store.
I'm gonna show you what you can find there. This is an actual cake pan of a lamb.
It's a lamb pan
that I got at Riverside, and
you should show them how it actually turned out.
Yeah, no,
please put it to the camera.
I'll send you a picture so you can put it up in the interview of how bad it turned out. But it is a real place. The story came about because I was writing the same. Tent City is on that album. That was written by. So that one, Riverside and Tent City were written by my buddy Jack. He wrote all the words, and I put music to it because we wrote a rock opera as part of this 24-hour playwriting competition. He asked me to write the music for it on New Year's Eve of that year, but I was like super obliterated, so I said yes. And then I had forgot that we had talked about it, and so he showed up at my door at like 8 o'clock at night with a binder full of lyrics and said, "Here you go."
Lamb pan down there.
So what's this other pan?
That's the back of it.
That's the back of the lamb. It kind of looks like a penis.
But anyway, so Riverside is real. It came out as part of like a rock opera, and then my buddy Jack didn't really know what to do, so he just went in there and started looking at things and writing them down. And so it's just basically a list of what he saw, and then he put some wordplay into it.
That's like a great concept for a song, just like your shopping list. Just get some Kleenex,
get some Holy Grail,
DVD,
some rye bread,
a wedding cake.
Yeah,
it was
great.
always a fun song to sing with her, because it was just something where you'd just be saying all these random things, and she would just like always laugh at the random things that you guys would be describing.
That's a good story. Right on.
Yeah. So I got one more question. Are you guys going to be touring in the fall? And obviously, I mean,
yeah, not like
not likely.
Straight up, we're not gonna be. No, we're not. the head medical officer of the Yukon basically said, like, everything is shut down until they have a vaccine in enough arms for that to happen. Like, and quite frankly, I don't want to tour. Like, as much as I love you guys down in America, your president's not helping the situation all that much. So I'm pretty afraid to. We were supposed to play July 4th just outside of Seattle this year, and I actually called the lady and I'm like, listen, like, it's not safe, and so
yeah, they had to cancel that. Like, all the major festivals that we had through the summer, they've canceled all of that. So we're just moving everything a year down the road. So, like, we'll be back in Washington in summer 2021. Is when we'll be down your way again, and we'll obviously make our way down to Portland to do some sessions.
And we're gonna book. There's another company kind of like Bridge City Sessions called Flatland Recordings, and we're just gonna hang with them instead of you guys. And it's it's in mid Montana.
Screw them.
I'm not going back to mid Montana. Holy cow!
It's in like a bookstore. The lady's got a big wart on her nose. We call her Old Morty. It's awesome.
We have progressed like a ton since you guys have come in. So I've just been waiting for that day that you finally do, because
it's gonna happen.
I can't wait, man.
Everything has improved like a ton.
Are we able to stay there like on actual beds, or do we get the couches again?
We have mattresses this time, but the couches are available too. So
for
this couch here is definitely up for grabs, and this thing is a down couch, so it's pretty nice.
For the people who don't know the full story, we drove in Portland, brakes failed, and we lived in Bridge City Sessions for a week and a half.
Oh yeah.
And that was awesome because you guys didn't know us, and we just showed up from the Yukon, and we're like, "Hey, our car's done. Can we just live here?" And you're like, "Yeah, sure, whatever."
It was awesome, man.
It was fantastic. Like, that's one way to tour a city.
It was a lot of fun though. It was a crazy story, but it was a good way to start, kind of a friendship out of this, because I think after the session, didn't you guys come back and record some songs for the schools as well? Or was that the same week?
We did some school songs, a bunch of other stuff, and then we flew you and Doug up to a festival in Calgary and filmed some music videos for us, smuggled a bunch of merch that was done legally. And
I got to smoke weed with Less Than Jake on backstage.
Yeah, they smoked enough weed prior to their show to kill a horse. And I was impressed that they were still going.
Yeah, I actually, sorry to interrupt if I was going to, but I gave the singer a Bridge City shirt, and I catch him on Instagram wearing that shirt all the time, and I'm just hoping one day that they accept the invite to come do a session.
Oh, dude, that would be so killer.
You need to invite Petra.
That sounds like I don't know what that sounds like. That does not sound like a band name.
Yeah.
Man, they were playing like 15 to 20,000 seat arenas, man. Like, they were huge.
Damn.
So you guys are going to be releasing a single June 21st. And on what platform? Like, where can people find your new music?
It'll be on Spotify. It'll be on Apple Music. It'll be on all the general stuff.
Fox News.
Not Fox News. No, please God, no. We're working on. We got a photo shoot coming up on Sunday for that, and then we're gonna start filming the video. It's gonna be fun, and we're just gonna embrace all the Yukon.
So is the single gonna come out as a music video?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, it's called Inspector Tang, and we'll leave it at that for now. But we'll talk later about more about the story of that.
Man, I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited to shoot the music videos. We got 2 we're working on.
We'll send you the rough drafts.
All right.
So you can hear them. Give us your honest opinion.
I think shooting the music videos is going to be a good time for us. We're really just going to get to, bond and have a ton of fun making them.
that's pretty much the definition of like this incarnation of the band. We hang out, drink beers, and have fun, and that really translates to like the kind of music we're producing. It seems like it's just fun. It's a lot of fun.
I feel like us as a crew, we're like that a lot too. Like when we come to work, like when we book a band, like I know that when I go to work, like I can't wait to get there because I'm just gonna like hang out, get to know them, and we're just gonna kill it, and just everything is gonna go, smoothly, and we know how to do what we do without even really stressing it. Like half the time we know a band is on the calendar and we just show up. So it's
well, you guys have been doing that for years. Like when we showed up, we were like white faced, almost died, and it was like all of a sudden our level went from like to like, okay, we've got this. These guys are good. We're gonna be fine.
But your performance though, like I remember that session just being like so well done. Like I loved that session, and for having that happen, for you to put on that good of a performance, I mean, that was a pretty amazing thing. It's
interesting to listen back to those because you can hear the stress in our voices.
Really?
Compared to our regular performance, it's like, oh, so that's what that does.
I just remember my teeth really hurting. I guess that's when my gripping, like,
clenching. That was like when we went to Wonderland and I puked after riding the Yukon Striker 3 times in a row.
There's this.
Graham's like, I've never seen you so white.
There's this amusement park in Toronto called Canada's Wonderland, and they put in this new roller coaster called the Yukon Striker, and like you go up like 250 feet, and then you kind of go, and then it dangles you over a straight drop, and it stops
face down into a tunnel.
And we may or may not have gone out to open mic. And I may or may not have reached the point where I couldn't play the A chord. And
we were a little bit hurting.
Yeah.
And he got up to play AC/DC and was like, shit. And he was just like, one sec.
Oh, no. So we went to this amusement park and then rode these crazy, crazy roller coasters. And then... but Eric was dying.
Oh, I was so hurt, man.
He puked into a pond. It was awesome.
And the security guards came over and they just pointed and laughed.
Yeah, as soon as I put my head up, it was one security guard just like.
And then that night we went out for gourmet food because my friend's a 5-star chef. And so that was like a weird thing that hits your stomach after you've been puking all day, and then you eat that. It's like, oh. And then we got pretty loaded again. Great.
That was a special time.
Awesome. Well, it was really great having you guys, and thank you for taking the time with me and Doug. We're actually going to be re-releasing sessions with these interviews just to kind of fill the gap in quarantine. So we'll be looking forward to re-releasing your session.
We'll Photoshop Eric's head onto Ian.
Yeah, Doug, you just
a little floating head.
Yeah.
Right
So where can everybody find your stuff again? We can find you on Spotify, Bandcamp.
Just look up Speed Control. Yeah, we're on Spotify, Bandcamp, Apple Music, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram,
MySpace.
MySpace is still out there.
What about LiveJournal? LiveJournal?
No, no LiveJournal.
No LiveJournal? Okay. Right.
Onlyfans.com.
What? Yahoo Music.
Awesome.
Vimeo.
So we'll get a chance to hear the very first song in June 21st.
Longest day of the year. That's the day that the sun does not go down up here.
Yeah, that's the day after my birthday. My birthday is June 20th.
Oh.
And I think Father's Day is June 19th. So it's like
something like that.
Something like that.
It's just a whole shebang.
This is the first Father's Day I'm actually going to be home. Amazing.
It's going to be a big party weekend for me.
Yeah, man.
Cool. Well, looking forward to hearing the new stuff, the streams, and yeah, we'll be in touch. And yeah, take care, and we'll talk soon.
Sounds good, man.
Good talking to you
All
guys.
right. Love you. Miss you. Talk to you soon.
Miss you guys.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Oh my God. I totally said incantation instead of incarnation. I feel like an idiot. All right, guys.
All right.
Love you
Take
and I
care.
miss you. My Canadian brothers.
We'll talk soon.
Bye.
Bye, guys.